Mr Cameron always made it very clear that it was, that he turned it into, or it was a quasi-judicial decision, and it wasn't him, and it was off his remit, and he, I think, had been lobbied by lots of other people. So it wasn't, I would say, no, it wasn't particularly shared. He was always very even-handed about it.
Why were you discussing the issues letter with Mr Osborne at all?
My memory from the dinner was that it was with my husband and I, Mr Osborne and his wife, and Mr Lewis and his wife. So it was the six of us. It was in a restaurant, more of a social occasion. But like I said in my witness statement, I probably brought it up, but I can't remember. But there would have been a part of the dinner. I would have discussed our frustration, perhaps, at the time of what was going on. So I don't know whether I brought it up or George, but we did discuss it at that dinner.
Was any of this news to you, Mrs Brooks?
Yes, I think it was.
Was any of it surprising to you?
I think it was news to me, and therefore could be surprising. Yes, probably.
You the go-between in an increasingly fraught father-son relationship?
No, they could speak to each other.
So I didn't hear that.
I said no, they were very happy to speak to each other.
Say whether or not you discussed phone hacking issues with him.
I'm pretty sure, though, I attended the Police Bravery Awards right up until, as you can imagine, right up until 2011, and he was always there. And I can't remember when the Guardian first, but I think the Guardian broke their story in July 2009, and there was a Police Bravery Awards. It's usually in July. So I don't want to absolutely rule out the fact that I may have mentioned it to him because he was often around, but I don't remember a sit-down conversation where we discussed it at any length. I'm not going to say, Mr J.
But why not, Mrs Brooks?
Because if you knew where the father's information came from, it would identify the source, and I'm not going to do that.
Are you saying that the information came from a charity?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that because the source also had a child with cystic fibrosis, he was aware, and it was the fact that he had a child with cystic fibrosis is how he came to know.
Did you have a conversation with Mr Balls about Sharon Shoesmith?
Yes, it will have been discussed.
It would have been or was discussed?
Yes, it was discussed.
Was the purpose of the call specifically to discuss Sharon Shoesmith?
No, it wasn't. It was to discuss the case and also to try and understand why Haringey Social Services were allowed to do their own review into their own conduct over baby Peter.
During the course of the discussion you had in relation to Sharon Shoesmith, did you indicate to Ed Balls that you wanted her sacked?
Mr J, I didn't tell Ed Balls to fire Sharon Shoesmith. It was very obvious from the coverage in our paper that we had launched a petition because the government were refusing to do anything about the situation.